So yeah, without further ado, let's get into Uncharted. Let's talk about it.
Let's make sure.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. We're not going to spoil anything. And I always do that thing where I'm like, this isn't a spoiler, but, and then I say a spoiler.
I'm not going to do that thing where I'm like, hey, so I know it says in the title, The Lost Legacy. Do they find the legacy? Well, nobody finds any legacies.
I mean, that's what
Nadine was dead the whole time, but other than that, I thought it was fine.
It's weird that they were both ghosts and that they couldn't physically interact with anything. No, so what's the story here? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think Lost Legacy. It's everyone sort of entered thinking like, is this an experiment for what's going to happen going forward? This is a $40 standalone adventure. It's much shorter than the other Uncharted games. You know, they were saying its length is comparable, but it took me about 6 hours.
You can if you try to collect everything. Like, I spent a little more time, I think, than you in the open world area because I just was being like, I need to collect everything, and it took me an extra hour. Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, it's much shorter.
But no, and it's it's throws you into the shoes of Chloe
Fraser,
and she's cool. She's been around for a while. And you team up with Nadine, who was introduced in 4, and that's kind of the whole thing. Is it's Uncharted but with girls, and it's fine. It works well.
I think the story, the writing, the characters, and sort of their personal arcs, like both of their arcs separately, and then both their collective arc. To me, that's like why I like what I love about the game.
Yeah, I think both of them are fantastic, and like both the writing and the performances work so well. And it was like, oh, it's some of my favorite writing in the series. I think there are certain moments that I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Well, and it does that really great Uncharted thing of oscillating between these heavy moments of drama and gravity, and then also these like silly, quirky one-liners, but then also just like moments of the mundane, which Uncharted does really well. Like those moments in Uncharted 4 where you're just walking around his house and playing games with your wife and like that kind of thing. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I really like the introduction to this. Like it starts you off, and I mean we've kind of already seen this, right? Or no, they showed us a chunk. Well, the way this was revealed was that this chunk of Chloe kind of going through this.
Yeah, but you didn't know it was Chloe, so she was wearing like a hood in that version of it. That was the big PSX last year.
It actually starts off before that, but I think it's a really kind of interesting little like very very sort of slow personal way of kind of introducing a character, even though we already know this character. What's weird though is I feel like this totally could be a standalone game. And for a chunk there, it kind of is. Like you could basically be like, oh, I'm playing this on its own. Part of me wants to
without having the prior knowledge of who these people are.
Part of me wants to say this could be, if you've never played an Uncharted game before, this is one for you. But towards the end, it starts bringing in stuff from other games, and then you kind of do need a prerequisite knowledge.
Yeah.
I think it does take a lot of the kind of the nuts and bolts of Uncharted 4 and kind of refines them and distills them a bit. But yeah, I mean, it's weird that they are putting this out as a standalone thing.
Yeah, I'm curious as to like just hearing the story behind this, because it's clear that you know, Neil Druckmann moved on to Last of Us 2, but this doesn't feel like a B team thing, because the game is gorgeous. The game's one of the prettiest games ever made,
and there are set pieces in there that stand up to some of the best.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The set pieces are few and far between, but when you do get them, it's like, oh crap, this is just incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think one thing that happened though was sort of by compressing everything into a shorter span, I started sort of seeing the wear and tear of some of the mechanics of Uncharted 4. I don't think the combat's bad in the game, but I don't think the encounters were particularly memorable or interesting in terms of like a level design or enemy variety or, you know, just a relationship with your weapons.
I felt like I was largely pushing through them because I wanted to see what Chloe and Nadine were going to talk about next. Like I cared more about the growth and sort of way they converge and diverge from each other throughout it, more so than them in combat together.
Yeah, I played through it on complete baby mode because mechanically it doesn't do anything new. I mean, it kind of reinvents things we've seen before in a familiar way, but as far as like how you play the game, there's lock picking, and I think there's C4, which is basically like dynamite, but it sticks to stuff. Yeah. And I don't even remember if that was in previous games or not. Yeah. But
I don't remember.
There's like nothing really groundbreaking. Like there's some puzzles where you push stuff around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the pieces of Uncharted 4 working together.
Yeah, there's a lot of climbing, you know, melee combat, gun combat. There's the
grappling hook.
Yeah, there's the open world section in the middle that's where like your Jeep comes into play and you have a map and you do some more winching.
It's like the same Jeep, isn't it?
It looks
like like they could have painted it blue or something.
God, how did it get from Madagascar to India?
I'm pretty sure it's like the exact same Jeep.
It looks
a lot like it.